I am so excited to welcome the truly incredible Nila Varman today. She is the 21-year-old award-winning host of the Nila Extract, which is a radio show and educational platform which aims to represent a variety of communities and discuss so many important topics and issues. The Nila Extract is an incredible show and it has won numerous awards, including the prestigious Diana Award, the SRA Award for Best Newcomer, and so many more. Nila herself is arguably a pioneer in the representation of South Asian people collectively and her own group within South Asia, the Tamil people. So welcome the fantastic Nila Varman.
No, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm so happy to be here.
Growing up as a South Asian person in the UK must have played a tremendous role in your decision to start the Nila Extract. You've especially cited the fact that there was such a tremendous lack of representation for South Asian people and especially Tamil people. When did you start to notice that lack of representation for people who share your heritage?
I think I noticed it when I was in school. I went to mostly an all-white school. Me and my brother were the only brown kids for many years, and then a couple more kids from different South Asian heritages joined. But until then, we were the only brown children there. And, we'd watch movies and we'd read books and obviously, look through magazines in the library. And we wouldn't see anyone that looked like us on the cover, or, people who did look like us usually played a sidekick character on the Disney Channel, or someone who kind of was displayed as some sort of a stereotype or a butt of a funny joke. And it wasn't a true representation of what the South Asian community is actually like. So I think, I've had those talks with my parents growing up, and I never really sat down and had a look going, oh my gosh, why is there no one who looks like me on so-and-so channel? Or why does this person on this magazine also, or like some people wear brown face instead of hiring people who look like us. So I think, yeah, at a young age, probably when I was maybe 10 or 11, when I started having that conversation with my family. Yeah.
Even within the South Asian community, there's so many different groups, there's so many different languages, ethnicities. I want to say there are over 400 recognized languages within India alone, not even including Pakistan and Bangladesh. Did you also notice within even the South Asian community, there was a lack of representation for people, especially of Tamil heritage?
Oh, absolutely. I think for a long time I didn't. And then I moved to a new place and I went to an Indian international school for a little bit before returning back to the UK. And I felt very surprised because I was almost more comfortable in my all-white school than I was in an Indian international school. There were so many unfair stereotypes that go towards South Indian people and representing Tamil people or just the South Indian diaspora on television or in books and whatever. And, I was really shocked because you don't see a lot of Tamil people in films in other regions of India. Even if they do a movie about Tamil people, they won't hire people who are Tamil. It's usually like people from the north who kind of speak one or two words of Tamil throughout the whole film, just to kind of go, okay, they're a Tamil character, that kind of thing. So I think there is a massive lack of representation, and it's something that we need to keep talking about because it is really important to represent those communities who are, still marginalized and underrepresented within their own country. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. It is interesting because saying that a person is Indian it's such a broad statement because you can travel from state to state and you will run into different languages, you will run into different cultures. Some people don't exactly understand the importance of representation for minority groups, and some people will disregard it as unimportant. And it is obviously very important. How would you describe the importance and feeling that representation is?
I think for me, it took a long time to understand. I knew that it was important to see people like me on screen, but it took a long time for that to happen. I mean, I'm 21 now, and when I was growing up, the representation was very different. I used to watch Disney Channel all the time, and I wanted to see people who looked like me. I used to watch things like Jessie and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and all the classic Disney Channel shows. And a couple of times in the years, there'd be like one Indian person that comes through, and they have a really terrible accent, and they're just a walking stereotype essentially. So when I watched them anyway, I used to feel kind of embarrassed and be like, oh my gosh, is this really what they're choosing to show us? Like, is this what they think we are like? Like, is this how they see us? But then I think for the first time I felt that, I guess, that I related when Bridgerton season 2 came out. And until then, yes, we've been making history with more and more brown people on screen, but this was the first time I saw two dark-skinned Tamil women take to the main stage for the first time in my whole life, and like in something that I knew a million people were watching. And it was not perfect representation, but it was definitely a good start. And it was so powerful because all this time I just had the representation of like, oh, he's weak and he has a funny accent and she's odd and they're like, unpopular and undesirable by girls and have no social skills. That's the usual stuff that used to be associated with whatever brown character was on screen. And suddenly you have these these powerful women and literal queens, and it was awesome. It was awesome to see myself on TV and be like, oh my God, like, I just felt proud and it felt validating. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in the reality, the stereotypes that are often portrayed in stereotypical representations are falsified. Accents are falsified, facts are falsified. And so you're completely correct. It's not even a legitimate representation of South Asian culture whatsoever. So what inspired you eventually to actually establish your show, and how did you go about starting a whole radio show?
So I started my show about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now, which I find is crazy to say because I didn't expect it. I didn't expect myself to be doing this for this long and love it the way I do. But it was lockdown and no other society was open at my university, which was kind of depressing, except for radio, because you're in a booth alone essentially, so you don't have to talk to anyone except a mic, which doesn't talk back conveniently. So I knew I always wanted to do it because I've always been very talkative and I've been very expressive and creative growing up, and I love talking. I talk a lot. But I think that it was just a build up of all these traumas that I faced when I was in that Indian school. And it was just a massive reality check for me when I joined there. I feel like I've been shielded to so much discrimination within my own culture. And I thought, you know what, like, it's time that I spoke about this, because a couple of people would message me being like, oh, I felt the same way as you. And I was like, really? Because for so long, I thought this was only happening to me. I never had anyone talking about these issues that looked like me or was a similar age, or, kind of made their content accessible to all ages, not just adults or not just children. So I went, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And then, the rest is history. I joined University Radio Nottingham and started the Nila Extract. And here we are.
And of course, the Nila Extract has been incredibly successful. One of the most prestigious awards that you personally won was the Diana Award, which is an award which is specifically aimed at young people who positively affect the lives of others. And you really have positively affected so many others because you, in a way, are representation. You are, in reality, the representation for a new generation. How did you feel? And what was your reaction to the rapid success of your show?
I think I'm still in shock. It's a lot of imposter syndrome, which is like, you feel like you don't deserve it, or this isn't actually for you. I think with the Diana Award specifically, it was a real shock and a massive honor. I'm still kind of like, oh my God. But with the show, as I was saying, I really thought that no one really shared those experiences like me. And then as I kept making more episodes and talking to more people from different walks of life, more people were messaging in being like, oh my God, you're talking about my history. And I was like, oh, cool. And, you start learning more and more. And suddenly it started growing. And I think it can be overwhelming, but I'm really, really grateful and privileged that so many people want to learn and they're so supportive. And hopefully I can keep growing it and see what happens next. Yeah.
Personally, what did it feel like when people began to express the fact that they shared in your experiences?
It felt so good. I mean, it was kind of sad because some of them related to the sort of more vulnerable and dramatic sides of, like, being a South Asian person in a white country, or being a South Indian in a brown place. It's kind of sad being like, oh my gosh, why are so many people relating to this, or just feeling insecure about my body in a certain way? And people are like, oh, I feel that way too. And in a way, it makes me feel sad, but also it makes me feel validated that I'm not the only one out there. And this has reached some person, and maybe they feel like, okay, I'm not the only one out there. Maybe they'll tell someone else. So I think it's always, just for me, it's been about just reaching at least one person and letting them know that, you're not alone at all. And there's so many resources and so many ways that you can now expose yourself to different people doing many things to make a social change. And I mean, you're doing this, which is incredible. And I think the conversations that you have on your show are so pivotal in normalizing so many things. So I think it is really lovely to hear the impact that it's had on so many people, because I did not expect that. Can't lie, did not expect it. But taking it day by day. Yeah.
I love that. And you've also won awards for your presence on social media. And social media has really helped you to get the word out in your sort of mission to represent people who look like you and so many other heritages. You've had people on your show from a variety of backgrounds, and you're almost giving people a platform for their own heritage to be represented. What role do you feel social media played in your show and in the representation of communities generally?
It's a really good question, actually. I think for social media, I'm a pretty new face, in my opinion. I first started my account because I just wanted to promote the show. I was like, next week you've got this episode and this guest. And then I think it was one of my guests who came on, Dr. Jane Goodall, who I admire greatly. And I can't believe she even came on my show, which is crazy. But she said something like, you've got such a wonderful platform. You need to use it to start telling your message. And I was like, she's right. So then I started kind of expanding on the issues that were spoken about on the show, and started making other creative content and engaging people. And I think social media for so long, for me, has been so centered on, a certain type of people and a certain type of like influencers. And it's really important to diversify that. And so in a way, I think it's really useful in reaching people from all corners of the world. You've got so many functions as well that are now better, suited to like disabilities and different languages, and you can really change things so that it can be accessible to as many people as as it can be. So I think it has been really helpful in kind of building my show and building my platform. Hopefully you'll reach more and more people. And I'm still very much a novice at social media things. I've never been one to like sit on social media all day or strategize properly. It's just like posting whenever I feel like posting or whatever it is, but just doing it in a way that people understand, and they can go, oh, I'm going to look that up. So yeah.
But that continues to show your success, because many people have been attracted and interested to your work. So many people have found you and have really dove into your work, and that's really incredible.
Thank you so much.
So, as I mentioned previously, you have spoken about the importance of body acceptance and mental health. How do you feel the two topics are intertwined?
I think they go hand in hand, because body image is such an important thing that, I mean, I don't even think, whatever it is, I think to have that kind of body neutrality where you don't feel, I guess, pressure to think about your body in a certain way. It comes with a certain amount of, mental clarity or whatever it is. I'm not very well versed in like mental health terms per se, that integrate with body image, but I think it is important to kind of have, good mind, good body, that kind of thing, that balance. But I know that's always not achievable as well. I think when I went through my body image struggles, and I still struggle with my body image a lot, I tend to shut myself away. And I think it's important to acknowledge that your mental health can struggle and it's okay. And, again, once you try to improve one of them, it usually starts to improve the other one. For me personally, anyway, I can't speak for everyone else's experiences, but yeah, that's been my understanding of it.
That's incredible. Having produced over 40 episodes of the Nila Extract, you've delved into so many different topics, so many different issues, and all of them are explored so incredibly and so in depth and just amazingly. Do you have any particular process for selecting and researching the topics that your show explores?
I think I just try to keep on top of social issues. I'm always trying to diversify in my Instagram feed. At one point, I was just following a lot of like models and I don't know, like, the Kardashians or whatever it is. I mean, no hate towards anyone, but I think at one point I was just like, I need to see more of myself and I need to see more people who are creating social change and making a change. And I just said the same thing in two different ways, but just to get past that. But yeah, I slowly started following more and more people. And once you follow one person, collaborate with someone and you're like, oh, I like your work, let me follow you. And so that's where my research kind of goes. And sometimes I decide a topic. I mean, my show kind of focuses around my personal experiences and also the experiences of others. So it's kind of like, I'm like, oh, well, I struggled with these body image issues. Maybe there's someone out there who's doing the same and talking about it. And then I research and then I reach out and then we connect. And it's really, really fun because I learned so much. Even if I'm going through my own personal experiences, you can learn so much from someone's lived experience. It's so valuable and rich. And I'm just really privileged that so many people have come on to share their stories with me. Really, really, really privileged. Yeah.
You're truly multifaceted and incredible human being. What projects do we see in the future for Nila Varman?
Well, firstly, you're very kind. I'm very flattered today. You gave me an excellent introduction, and now you're calling me multifaceted. What can I say? So are you. I think I want to keep growing my show. I'm still a student, so I'd love to integrate the perspectives of things I've been learning about at university with what I'm doing in radio. Find somewhere to help me kind of expand the Nila Extract. One day, though, this is the big dream, essentially have a talk show one day, then become an actress, get an Oscar, then retire again and become a talk show host, then get back to my radio show. I don't know. It's fuzzy, but I want to keep collaborating with more people to amplify more and more marginalized voices and more people from different communities. I think there's so much to be done and mine's only a small part. So I'm really excited to just keep working and keep connecting with people. Yeah.
And you have really helped to represent marginalized communities through your show by having a variety of guests. And so that would be my next question for you. How can we improve representation of these communities? Because it is such an essential thing. And it's a really important thing to have representation to improve understanding and generally to get issues out there that need to be heard about.
I think it's important to just go and do your own research. People who are on the internet and, even radio show hosts and podcast hosts who do talk about these issues, they can only take you part of the way. I think it's really important to go back from that and do your own research, read articles, read books, read, other things, listen to other podcasts, listen to other radio shows, watch movies. Really, if you want to learn about a social issue or socially pressing issues are usually relegated to taboo, have a look at it, because there are so many people talking about it, yes, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you and to young people who essentially have the time and the resources now. A lot of people do, a lot of people don't, but whoever does, I mean, they have the time to go and research and just expose themselves to different types of people. And that's why I was mentioning diversifying your Instagram feed as well. I think that's an excellent way to even include more representation on your own Instagram feed, get some more creators up who don't look like you necessarily. And, you learn something here and there. Obviously follow people who, you feel good about, or you don't have to follow people just because of so and so. But I think it is really important to keep the conversation going, have those difficult conversations with your relatives, with your parents, with your siblings. And I think, yeah, I think that's all I want to say about that. It is a broad question, which I wish I had a better answer to.
No, your answer is incredible. Is there a single thing that you point to as one of the greatest parts of growing up in a household with immigrant parents where you have a heightened awareness of other cultures?
Well, I think it's one of the things is exactly what you said, that heightened awareness of other cultures. I'm so grateful for my Oma and Appa who have brought me up appreciating not only my Tamil heritage, but also the heritages of so many other people from minority ethnic communities, and also appreciating people who aren't people of color. I think that's really important. I'm really, really grateful to have the exposure that I have and the social awareness that I have because of them. I also love the food, but it's I think we live in a collectivistic household where, family is tight knit and we all have each other's backs. And I'm very grateful for that, because without their support and without the things that they've taught me and talked me through, over the past many years, I couldn't be where I am. And so I'm really, really grateful to that family. Yeah, my family.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's truly been an honor to have you.
It's been an honor to be here. You're a wonderful host, and I'm so excited that you invited me. So thank you so much for having me.